Final preparations are just about finished for the Democratic National Convention, but Bernie Sanders is still fighting for change, challenging Hillary Clinton to support ideas he says will help everyday Americans. One America's Ryan HOEFLE has more.
It's a scene we're used to seeing during election season.
I will suspend my campaign immediately.
I am suspending my campaign.
We are suspending our campaign.
And there's still one more to come. Bernie Sanders has made good on his promise to stay in the race and challenge Hillary Clinton for the Democratic nomination all the way up until the convention. And while he won't be able to get the delegates needed, Sanders is taking on a different fight as he tries to transform the future of the Democratic Party. Before we get into all that, though, we got to explain what exactly is a party platform. It's an official document agreed upon by party officials, laying out where the party stands on key issues. Now, each party comes up with their own, and it's not binding, however, but there is no penalty for going against your party's platform. You got to think of them more like coloring book lines. If a candidate chooses to ignore them, they just raise some eyebrows. Now, looking at the big picture, though, Sanders says he's already pushed the Democratic Party farther left. Now, both Sanders and Clinton delegates voted to put in language that would support tougher Wall Street reforms and getting rid of the death penalty, as well as taking big money out of politics.
This campaign has never been about any single candidate. It has always been about transforming America. It is about ending a campaign finance system which is corrupt and allows billionaires to buy elections.
But Sanders is asking for more. He says the party has been too easy on fracking and that they need to make a $15 minimum wage one of the main priorities of the party. Sanders is highlighting one other issue in particular, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, better known as the TPP. That's the deal that would bring together the economies of a dozen Pacific nations in an effort to boost trade. But Sanders wants to make sure that it isn't passed until Congress can look it through. Now, while it isn't the flashiest topic being debated on the campaign trail right now, trade deals aren't exactly the most exciting side of politics. Sanders argues that if it is passed, it'll hurt the American worker. Here's where it does get a little interesting, though. President Obama has been pushing for the TPP deal hard during his second term in office.
It would be good for the workers in Vietnam, even as it helps make sure that they're not undercutting competition here in the United States.
But it all started back at the first term of his presidency when Hillary Clinton was still his Secretary of State. She supported the deal back then because, let's face it, it's hard to go against an idea your boss came up with. But now she's changed her tone on the deal, saying that she would like to make changes to it.
I have been trying to learn as much as I can about the agreement, but I'm worried.
So after learning all that, you'd think it'd be easy for both sides to come together and make it the official stance of the Democratic Party, right? Well, that doesn't seem to be the case. As mentioned earlier, it's the candidates' delegates who vote on what makes it onto the party platform. And when the topic of the TPP was brought to a vote, Clinton's delegates voted against it. So we have a case of Clinton saying one thing and her delegates doing the opposite. Now, delegates work in line with what their candidate wants, and now Sanders is asking Clinton to help change the party's platform and save the American middle class. But in a race that has put a lot of emphasis on party unity, it'll be a tough sell to get Clinton to go against the president, especially since she'll need him to campaign alongside her in the months leading up to the November election. Here in studio for One America News, I'm Ryan HOEFLE. Back to you at the desk.